My husband and I got this waterfall bed and decided to turn it into a bench. He cut the bottom board, the footboard, in half and made the sides of this bench, and then I made him pose for a photo. I decided I wanted to upholster the seat to look like a bench seat in a truck, so I ordered some foam and batting and vinyl from Amazon and got to work. I've never done this before, but I do know how to sew, so I cut 8 5.5-inch strips and one 11.5-inch strip and sewed them all together so that I had the pleats that I wanted in the bench look. And this is how it turned out. After this, I added the foam and batting and started stapling. I don't have a lot of experience upholstering anything, and so I pretty much got all of my information on YouTube. I used a million staples and did the best I could. I think the only thing I would have done differently is I might have pulled and stretched the vinyl a little tighter. I did start by stapling each side in the middle and then working my way out basically from there to the corners and around the edge. It turned out nice. There's a wrinkle in the center part that I'm not really happy with and I can't seem to fix it, but it is what it is and it looks good, and it's going into a bench that's supposed to look like an old Chevy truck, so if it's not perfect, it's okay. See here, I am pulling and trying to tighten the vinyl a bit. I just wish I'd have pulled it just a little bit more. I also was struggling with my staple gun a bit, but eventually I was able to put 700 million staples in this bench. This is me flipping it over for the first time to check it out. I think it turned out pretty good for my first shot. I trimmed the vinyl off of the edge and tried to minimize the bulk around where the staples are the best I could and put it on the bench to check it out, and here it is. And as it turns out, it's quite comfy. Next, I took some decoupage paper from Grace on Design. It's called Grandpa's Truck, and I will add a link to the Grace on Design webpage where you can get this and many other different types of decoupage paper. I'll add that link in the description below. I took some salt wash and I'm using Dixie Belle Blue here, and I pretty much focused the salt wash. It wasn't really thick, but I used it to try to hide the edges of the paper a little bit. You can see my paper is a bit wrinkled. I am still not great at laying down decoupage, but again, it didn't matter too much for this piece because it was supposed to be an old Chevy truck and look old and weathered anyway. This paper wasn't exactly light blue, the truck on the paper, so I added in some blue paint to the Chevy truck on the paper, and I think it blended pretty well. I don't even think you can tell that I changed the color of the truck on the paper. The first thing I did to age this piece was I took some Rusty Nail by I Love Hue. I Love Hue is a type of paint, and dripped it on the back and the sides of the bench, and I added it to the top and tried to minimize the drips over the picture part of the decoupage paper. Next, I took some iron paint from Metal Effects and added it to the edges, the sides and the top of the bench. I did a time lapse here so you could see the rust, but then I let it dry overnight before I put a top coat on. Here I am putting on the top coat, and I just used Minwax polyacrylic in matte, and the first coat gets pretty well absorbed by the rust paint, but then the second coat goes on a little bit smoother. I'm happy with the stark contrast of the vinyl to the blue that I painted the bench, so I brought some of that Dixie Belle Blue up on the edges, and then I used some Rusty Nail by I Love Hue also to kind of age the edges. And I did seal this in wax, and it's pretty durable. I'll have to let whoever buys it know to be careful not to rub on it or that it could rub off, but it takes a little bit of work to get it off. this is how it turned out. I love it. I think it turned out amazing. It looks exactly like I had seen it in my head. I took some stuff from my husband's garage to use for staging, and I thought that worked out really well too. So if you like what you see and you want to learn more, please subscribe to my channel. Please like and share and comment below. Thanks so much. Bye.